This is the shortened and revised edition of Is Abortion Permissible According to the Bible? I will leave a link to the full video in the description box. The verse is Exodus chapter 21 verses 22 and 23. If men strive and hurt a woman with child so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall be surely punished, according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. And if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life. So two men get in a fight with the pregnant woman and is injured and ends up having a miscarriage, and the one that injured the woman is to only pay a fine. Since only the fetus died, then God does not value that life much, because the guy only had to pay a fine. However, if the woman dies as a result from the incident when she delivers her child, then he gets the death penalty. Notice the injury was accidental and not premeditated as it is with abortion. The pro-choice assume that a fetus dies, end of story. However, Numbers chapter 35 verses 22 to 35, basically, if someone is killed by accident, they can flee to a city of refuge and their life is spared. And you might be saying, so what in the world does that have to do with the Exodus passage? Well, here are three different examples to illustrate my point. Kim, she has a 6-month-old baby and is accidentally killed. The man that did it went to a city of refuge for safety, so that way he wouldn't die. But her husband, John, now has to raise a 6-month-old baby on his own. Kathy is 6 months pregnant, gets hit accidentally when her husband got in a fight with another man. Kathy appears okay, but ends up dying giving birth, and so the man is put to death. Had Kathy not been pregnant, the man that struck Kathy could be spared and would go to a city of refuge for protection. Finally, Mary was 6 months pregnant, and her husband also got in a fight, and she had a miscarriage. So according to the pro-choice advocate, there's only a fine that was paid out. Now, all three women had a child. Some were born, some were unborn. While pregnant, if they die in giving birth as a result of being struck, the man that struck her dies. Yet, if they are not pregnant and they are accidentally struck and killed, even by that same man, the man can flee for safety in a refugee city. However, if the child dies, there's just a fine according to the pro-choice position. Here's the question. So why would a person get the death sentence when a person with child dies as a result of an accident, but the same woman were to die by accident, the man would live? Yet if the text is stating that at birth, if no hurt or injury, there should be a fine, does make sense. Yet when you look at the text, it's basically stating that at birth, if there is no hurt or injury, there should be a fine. And I think that makes perfect sense. After all, the mother would be worried if the child would die or even if he ended up being handicapped. The second part makes sense also, is to show the value of the unborn, since only a woman with child that dies would the man receive the death penalty, even if it was by accident. So in conclusion, the state that the unborn is of less value cannot explain why only a woman that is carrying the unborn in her womb will determine if a man who struck her accidentally will receive the death penalty. Yet that same woman, if she had not been pregnant and dies by accident, by the same man would not produce a death penalty. Finally, if the unborn does not have the same value as a person that has already been born, then why could a person who accidentally kills someone could only be sentenced to death when an unborn child is involved?